I don't want to make personal enemies of people I don't know. There's a guy called Adam22. Once again, I have no idea who this man is. This is the level you can, but this is what the Matrix wants from you as a man. They want the woman in charge and the man below with no backbone, because if the woman's in charge, they can emotionally affect her. They can scare her. You can scare a woman easier than you can scare a man. A man. A real man's hard to scare.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about this stream, this monster stream that happened between Andrew Tate, Adam22, and his wife, okay, and Aiden Ross, who, you know, I don't know why this person is famous, Aiden Ross in particular, but apparently, you know, it was done on his channel, okay, and he pulled together an all-star stream to discuss the viral topic, okay, of Adam22 allowing other men to go to Pound Town on his wife, okay, and Andrew Tate actually said some things to Adam22 that I think are extremely true and I think are worth highlighting, because Andrew Tate probably gave a very eloquent argument for why what Adam22 is doing is not setting a good example for society, and it's just not a good thing in general. And I want to play the clip because for as controversial as Andrew Tate is, I know a lot of people don't agree with him and his, you know, alleged lifestyle and some of the things he's been accused of. Regardless of all that, it's really hard to disagree with what he told Adam22 live on this stream. And I want to play this clip, but before I get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. The US dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 70s, when the dollar was decoupled from gold, and the government seems bent on continuing that tradition. From now and up until the next election, the government has free reign to print as much money as they want. And the last time that this happened, everybody knows, everybody remembers, inflation went up 9%. This means one thing: the security of your future and your family's future is all in your hands. Make sure you freeze the value of the wealth you're holding. Invest in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the one asset that is proven to withstand recession, inflation, and just about all economic threats. Noble Gold is here to help you if you want to invest in gold. You will also get a 24 karat, 1/4 ounce gold standard coin for free. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 877-646-5347 to get started, or go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. And just remember, there's a risk with every investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
Sincerely trying to convince me that I have made a very grave error, a massive mistake as a result of having let my wife shoot with another man. Myself personally, having been, you know, a couple weeks removed from the actual incident happening, I don't really feel like I made a mistake. You know, I was a little bit jealous at first. It's kind of a weird feeling knowing that your woman was in the arms of another man, even if it was only for a few hours. But it's interesting. You don't seem like you have as much of a real like moral issue with the act itself.
Well, I can give you my opinion on why I wouldn't ever do it. And I think the reason I wouldn't ever do it is because I believe that a man and a woman have a connection between them. And I think that connection is solidified by sexual exclusivity from the female's part. And I believe there's an energy cord between. And I think that once that's broken with another man, I do believe there's a degree of the connection which is damaged. And I think that when the relationship is good, perhaps you will not feel it. But when the relationship is bad, or when arguments start to happen, or you start to get on each other's nerves, you might notice a slight difference in behavior, because I do also think that once the seal has been broken, I'll give you an example. The 4-minute mile was impossible to achieve, they believed, until one man ran the 4-minute mile, and then a bunch of people ran the 4-minute mile. So once the seal's been broken, for example, let's say your wife's sleeping with another man, the idea of sleeping with another man is not as intimidating as it once was. And perhaps the idea of sitting through an argument or sitting through a rough patch in a relationship and continuing to try to work it out, as opposed to just jumping on a new man, it might be less appealing than it once was previously. So I believe, personally, if my woman had already slept with another man, she's more likely to just give up on the relationship and sleep with another man again in a rough patch. That's my personal view.
Facts, chat. No.
Say again?
Why would I mean, I've never cheated on you, like even in the lowest terms of cheating, like responding to a DM from somebody or anything. Like I've never done any of that. Everything in our relationship has been out in the open. you know, like all my messages with the person that I worked with. I was like, hey, just so you know, like these are the messages. And like Adam has about 200 women in front of me, and he cheated on me. So like, you know,
Adam, that's terrible.
So I do want to extend an invite that if you were ever interested in doing your first ever scene, that me and Lena, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like,
yo, dude,
would he be a suitable candidate? Can I tap him in?
I don't know. No.
There's absolutely 0% chance of that happening. And it's not because Lena is particularly unattractive. It's because she's married to Adam, and I have no interest in degenerate, pointless sex, and I have no interest in making a spectacle of myself or even just involving myself in anything which I deem to be overall haram and pointless. It's just not something I'd be interested in. There's not a single amount of money on the planet you could pay me to undertake. So I find this very uncomfortable to talk about. There's not many things I find uncomfortable, but I just find this uncomfortable to talk about. And the reason is not because, I mean, I'm an adult. I know what sex is, of course. I've lived a very varied life. I just feel like, I don't know. We have so many people watching us, and we're just talking about. I think this is below us. I don't know. We're all pretty intelligent people. We talk about the Matrix and how they're trying to dumb us all down and trying to control all of our minds. And this base instinct talk, I find it very uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable being on this stream. If I was sitting with a woman next to me, the last thing I would talk about is our personal life. I just don't think it's the smart thing to do. And I don't think that it is. I don't have any interest in the personal sex life of any married couple, and I don't want to hear about it, and I don't want to talk about it. And I just find it very uncomfortable. I'm extremely uncomfortable in this situation. That's the truth. And I'm not saying that from a position of weakness. I'm saying it from a position of strength. I don't like talking about these things. I don't like talking about women getting. I don't like talking about what I do with women. I don't like talking about any of it. I think that what I do in the bedroom with a woman who I care about should be to a degree sacred. And I think it should be completely private. Absolutely. And I don't want to hear about anyone else. I want to make something clear to the I don't watch. I've never bought an OnlyFans. I've never paid for sex. My relationship with sex involves love, and I don't think it should happen outside of love. And I think that's the way that sex should operate. And I think that when you decide, and once again, I could be wrong, when you decide to keep sex exclusively for love, there's something beautiful and special about it. And if you decide not to do that, then you keep chasing a new high. And you can have threesomes and a bunch of girls. And I'm not saying I haven't done it, but eventually you're constantly just chasing a new high and you end up just doing something weird. Whereas if you just say, I only have sex with girls I love, then it's always special and it's always pretty sacred. And you get to just enjoy it that way. And beautiful children are birthed. And life goes on.
It was a money decision. It was like, oh, this is going to be a big move for my career and for our family. We're going to be able to retire off of this money. So that was the reason for it. I'm
not saying you're sitting here trying to say I'm a saint. I'm not trying to talk from a position of authority, but I have maybe it's my fight career, which Cerrone doesn't respect, or maybe it's something else. But I think that you can achieve a lot of happiness in life through actually reducing your exposure to certain things. I'll give you an example. I'm not particularly a foodie, but I will only eat once a day. Sometimes I don't eat for 2 or 3 days at a time, and that's the reason I love a steak. So right now I have unlimited sexual options because I am the top G and I'm the most famous man on the planet, and thousands of women a week are constantly trying to throw themselves at me. And the reason I reject them all is because I don't think I would enjoy sex as a whole if I slept with all these women. The reason I enjoy sex is because I say no to everybody and say no to everything. And by reducing my exposure to something, that's how I still find it interesting, and that's how I still enjoy it. So I know what you're saying. I'm just talking from my personal experience. I try very hard to not give in to any temptations and try to avoid them. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, but by doing that, I find satisfaction in the world. I hope it works out fantastically for you. And I hope you stay together forever and you raise your children, because that's a beautiful thing. And that's what the world needs more of. So I wish you the absolute best. I think a lot of people expected us to argue, and I don't feel that way about you or your decisions, and you seem like very nice people. So I wish you the absolute best. And Lena, I hope you had fun, and I hope you enjoy your marriage. I don't know what else people expected me to say.
Yo, Tate told his man at the end, Lena, I hope that you have fun with another man. But real talk though, real talk. I know a lot of people don't agree with Andrew Tate and some of the things that he allegedly did, okay, when it comes to the allegations of trafficking and whatnot. And I've seen a lot of people, particularly, conservatives on Twitter, basically going after Andrew Tate. Okay, they're also going after Pearl as well, too. But, it's conversations like this where I think that people like Pearl and Andrew Tate, regardless of whether or not they actually really believe the things they're saying, or if they're actually living the lifestyle that they try to promote to other people, right? I think there's a place, right? There's a place for people like them in the things that they're pushing, even if people consider it to be extreme, because everything that Andrew Tate just said there, it's hard for me to disagree with, right? It's hard for me to disagree with what he says about sex and how it is a sacred thing that is supposed to happen with somebody that you love, and how it is much better when you're doing it with somebody that you love, somebody that you have a real relationship with, rather than just some random person. Basically, you're doing it as a sport, right? It's one of those things where I listen to the conversation like, yeah, he's right. He's 100% right. And he's actually preaching something that is the opposite of what you hear on a lot of some of these podcasts, right? Particularly these dating podcasts like Fresh and Fit that basically tell you, hey, you need to sleep with as many women as possible, okay? I mean, that's my interpretation of it. And he's saying the exact opposite, okay? Which, again, it's funny because he's quite often thrown into the same pile as people like Fresh and Fit, right? When he's actually saying something that I think is different than what Fresh and Fit have put out there. And I mean, it's pretty fascinating. When you actually listen to the guy talk, he doesn't seem like the monster that people are making him out to be. Now, again, that's not to say that he hasn't done these things. He probably has. I think he admits that he's done some of these things. And although we're not 100% sure if this is true yet in regards to the allegations against him, he may or may not have built a career off of taking advantage of some of the things that he says that he's against. Like, for example, engaging in adult content, right? Watching adult content. He says he doesn't do it. Even though, again, he made his money off of it, right? So there's some hypocrisy here, right? But regardless, I think it is worth noting that what he's actually preaching, what he's putting out there for young men is, again, not the stuff that the mainstream liberal media is saying that he's putting out there for young men, okay? He's actually not telling young men to go out here and have sex with as many women as possible, okay? He's actually saying, no, you should not do that, right? You should actually just have sex with a woman that you love, preferably in the bounds of marriage, okay? If you want to get biblical about it, okay? Yeah, it should be somebody that you're married to, somebody that you're committed to. And again, I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying, okay? And he also made the point of when you let somebody else, from the outside come in to your relationship and to engage in what is supposed to be a sacred activity, that's going to create issues in the long term, right? They might be cool with it now because, they're laughing to the bank, okay? They made a lot of money off of it. But when it comes to arguments and things that come up in the future where there may be some animosity or there may be some issues, the first thing that's going to pop up in this man's head, right, Adam22's head, is that, well, I let you sleep with another man, right? I let you do this, I let you do that. And that will always be a thing. And for her, like Andrew Tate, said, hey, it might be easier for her to step outside of the relationship in the future if that's something that she's allowed to do, right? If she was allowed to do it before, she may say, well, it's not a big deal. She may be tempted to do it again, okay? You open up a whole can of worms that wasn't there, that now is there because of what this man allowed his wife to do. And there is a difference, in my opinion, between him doing it and her doing it, but I don't think it's that much a difference. I just think that, again, the dynamics when it comes to sex with men versus women is just a little bit different. But regardless, I think the most important thing that he said is about self-discipline, right? At the end, he talked about self-discipline and control, not always indulging in things that the body wants, okay? Practicing self-control, okay? Which is something that I think is missing from a lot of these kind of manosphere spaces, is that they don't talk about self-control and discipline enough. In my opinion, I think self-control and discipline is the key to life, right? I really do think it's the key to success. It's the key to everything, okay? Because everybody knows what you generally should do, right? How you generally should live a good and moral life. Everybody knows what you should do, but not everybody has the self-control and the discipline to actually do it and to execute on it, right? It takes self-control and discipline to get up every single day and to work every single day and to do what you need to do to feed your family or whatever. It takes self-control and discipline to eat the right foods and eat healthy and to not to indulge in McDonald's and, unhealthy eating habits, right? It takes self-control and discipline not to go out here and sleep with a bunch of women, right? Especially in ways that are not safe, okay? It takes self-control and discipline to, not go out and party every single weekend, to drink and to do drugs. Self-control and discipline, in my opinion, is the key to everything. And it's something that really is not talked about enough, okay? And again, I just think that what Tate was saying there is just so true in the sense that if you have self-control and discipline, then when it comes time to indulge in the things that you love, that the body wants, it becomes an even greater experience. It becomes a better experience because you are not having it all the time. It's still something that is unique and sacred. And I think that that's so true. When you have self-control and discipline, I think it just makes life better. Okay. I think it makes some of these experiences that we enjoy so much even better in the end when you're doing it in a way that is responsible and you're not, out of control with it. So I just think that what he said there was pretty fascinating. And I love the way he handled that situation. He didn't really insult them. He did cook them, right? He cooked them, but he didn't really go that hard. Okay. He didn't really go that hard against them. And I think the most telling aspect of this exchange here is the fact that Andrew Tate seems to have more respect for Adam22's marriage than he does, right? Which again, hey, I guess in 2023, a lot of people don't really respect marriage that much, and I kind of understand why, considering how it really doesn't mean anything, considering how it's so easy for people to divorce and, to not be together, even though they committed to being together forever. And I think that this Adam22 situation kind of does show you just how much of a joke modern day marriages have become. Okay. And again, it's a breath of fresh air to see, Andrew Tate, actually respect the institution of marriage, which I think has been disrespected for a long time. It's just a very fascinating conversation. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.